Manchester City have still not spent any money, even though it is already the end of June, and our squad needs strengthening. That is indeed a concern I have seen many Manchester City fans express so far, both on Twitter and just in person and all around the internet. And let me address it today. And first of all, let me just take out away the obvious. First of all, we are in the middle of the Euros, so sometimes when you're middle in of a tournament, you can't always sign up a big players. They are occupied with things. They are worried about with playing the Euros, with doing other stuff, with on vacation if they're not qualified. These players don't always want to, or if they're in Copa America sometimes too. These players don't always want to spend their summer talking to a club about a new contract. I'm sorry to tell you this, but these players are human. They like to spend their holidays doing holidays. Because at the end of the day, signing a contract is business. So let me get that obvious thing out of the way. It's middle of the Euros, middle of Copa America, middle of whatever tournament it could be. Some of these players are taking this as their only holiday in a year because don't forget, in the summer break, players are training, players are in recovery and stuff. They don't have holiday other than this period. So, no, you don't have to be too concerned, I believe, because, again, I'll repeat myself again, we are still in the Euros, in the holiday period for the players who haven't qualified. And when we look at rivals, Arsenal isn't signing anyone, Liverpool isn't signing one. But they signed people at this period at the end of last year. Yeah, because there was no major international tournament going on at this period last year. So that's a big difference. And also something to remember, again obvious, there's 2 months left in the transfer period, right? And even though we are talking about we aren't signing anyone, that is incorrect. We have already signed Savio. Now, I watch a lot of La Liga. I prefer watching La Liga to Premier League. I just think it's more entertaining to watch. Nothing about the quality of football. I think Premier League is probably more qualitative, but I think it's more fun to watch. That is besides the point entirely. I have watched a lot of Savio. I think he will fit right in. I think he is amazing. I think he is exactly what we need on that left wing. And he can rotate easily with Toku. He can play right, he can play left. He can even play midfield if you want, but I prefer him on the wing. And so that is the obvious stuff out of the way. But now let's get to the main content of the video, right? I have talked a lot on this video about what I want at Manchester City, and maybe not a lot about what we actually need. Because if you are a regular on my channel, you know I want Theo Hernandez. How do you spell his name like that, right? I want Theo Hernandez. I think Theo Hernandez would be really good. I want either young Kuto or Olise, or, well, Olise is already impossible, or Frimpong as a right winger. So let's say Frimpong, right? It's just an example, doesn't matter. And I want a new CDM. Who is that CDM? Let's pick, I don't know, Bruno Guimaraes, because he's the person that everyone talks about. But could be Kimmich too. Could be Kimmich too. And I also want a De Bruyne replacement, so I am looking at Words for that, at Florian Words. Now we're taking a big list here, and by the way, the reason I'm not picking Musiala, even though I like him so much, is probably isn't happening, let's be realistic. But that's a lot of players that I want. That is 4 players that I want, on top of Savio, which is 5 players already. And that's a bit greedy, isn't it? So let's distinguish from what we actually want as Manchester City fans and what we actually need. What was the biggest problem with Manchester City in the past season? Well, it was counterattacks primarily through this side, defensively, and going forward it was a lack of creativity. Both of those things can be solved with only one more signing, and that is Bruno Guimaraes. And let me show you why. So, Diaz, okay, right now he is exposed over here, but you can just shift him into here, and I've explained already a dozen times, box midfield is there for the exact reason of preventing counter-attack through this side, or like through the central area. So Diaz being slow doesn't matter. And Walker being high up the pitch was also a defensive problem, but we don't do that anymore, so it doesn't matter. Akanji can rotate in this place, we don't really need Theo Hernandez. Now, if we get Theo Hernandez here, he will be great. But we can play Ake in this place, we can play Guardiola in this place and maybe drop Ake a bit more centrally, or we can have Stones playing, we have enough to do, and we have many things that we can do with this back line. I want Theo Hernandez. We do not need Theo Hernandez. And that is something I think might be important for Manchester City fans to still distinguish between what we want and what we need. Furthermore, we look at, we want a KDB replacement. I want a De Bruyne replacement. We don't need a De Bruyne replacement yet. We will need one soon, but not yet. At least I don't think so. And why not? Well, first of all, if you want Kovacic to play more high up, he definitely can do that. He's more of an 8. And then, instead of De Bruyne being your 10, you'd have Foden as your 10 and Kovacic as your 8. Currently it's kind of reversed, but they switch around a lot. Kovacic would have less mobility, I'll give you that. We can also use Oscar Bob to rotate these two players if you want to give them more game time. Rico Lewis can rotate over here and over here with the defensive midfield and with the right back. So what we actually want as Manchester City fans isn't always what we need. However, I am not convinced that only Bruno Guimaraes is enough. Because while this looks good on paper here, you can definitely make very good arguments for why Bruno Guimaraes sets Manchester City up for another year. I can absolutely accept an argument about that. I understand where it's coming from too. You don't have to argue with me about it. I probably agree. I just don't think it's enough. And the reason for that is, I look at Real Madrid, and currently they have Rodrigo, Mbappe, Vinicius Jr. Oh, who do they have coming off the pitch? Off the bench, I mean. World-class talents also. They have players like Carvajal, who is still world-class level, better than Walker is now. If you go back to the treble season, certainly not, but Walker, he's getting old, isn't he now? They have so many players in midfield, it is actually stupid. They have Camavinga and Tchouaméni. So, why do I bring that up? Maybe it's okay for Manchester City fans to want a bit more when they are the richest club in the world, because objectively, Manchester City is the richest club in the world. So maybe it is okay for us to demand a bit more. Maybe it is okay for us to say, no, we are the richest club in the world. We just had a terrible season, barely won a title, which we should have won easily considering how much better our squad is. And now our rivals will go into the summer strengthening. We shouldn't be happy with 1 or 2 signings because, again, Sadio is a signing, we have to include him in that. Maybe it is alright for Manchester City fans to be a bit greedy. Because if you don't be greedy, certainly you will end up like a club like Arsenal or a club like Chelsea or a club like Manchester United, where you're like, yeah, we trust the process, and because you keep trusting processes that don't work, you go years without a title. When is the last time Manchester United won the league title? It's already 11 years ago. So, while I certainly understand the argument of we only need 1 or 2 more signings, and all the rest is wanting, I think there's nothing wrong with wanting more. But that's my personal opinion. And therefore, I let it over to you guys to decide and tell me down below in the comments what you think about this. Do you think it's alright for the Manchester City fans to maybe demand a bit more right now of the club, to sign more players? Do you think it's too greedy to ask for Theo Hernandez and Wirtz in the same window that we get Bruno Guimaraes and Savio? I mean, Wirtz is probably not happening anyways. I'm pretty sure he's staying till 2025. But still, you can try, right? Is it too greedy to ask for Dani Olmo? Because Dani Olmo is linked. I don't like him. Tell me what you think down below about Dani Olmo, by the way. So, tell me all your opinions down below, and I'll try to respond. I've read some interesting stuff on... I can't remember what video it was. But I read an interesting comment, which I responded to. And it's always nice for me to read comments. I won't always respond. Sometimes I'll just give you a heart up if I agree. And the reason why I don't always respond is, if I agree, isn't it? So, yeah. If you're new to the channel, please consider liking and subscribing. Helps the channel out a ton. And I'll see you guys on the next one.